Welcome to Back to Basics by Dr. Pranshu Mehta. Well, today let's learn and develop a few concepts about the ECG. So, what is ECG? ECG or the electrocardiogram. Okay, today we'll read about the ECG, the 12 lead ECG which we use usually. So, what are the leads? Okay, we'll place 3 electrodes on the limbs, one on the right arm, one on the left arm, one on the left foot. Now we'll place 6 chest leads or 6 electrodes on the chest in the thorax. So we are reading about the 12 lead ECG. Now how do these 9 electrodes form the 12 leads? So these electrodes which we have placed on the arms form, like, can act as bipolar or monopolar both. So when they act as a bipolar lead, see, lead number 1 is formed between the right and left arm, lead number 2 is formed between the right arm and left foot, and lead number 3 is formed between left arm and left foot. Now when these electrodes act as monopolar electrodes, then they're termed as AVR for the right arm, AVL for the left arm, and AVF for the left foot. So now we have 6 leads, lead 1, 2, 3, and lead AVR, AVL, and AVF. Now what about the other 6 leads? These are the chest leads. The chest leads are total 6 in number, starting from V1 to V6. We won't be discussing their positions over here, but they are from V1 to V6, V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, and V6. So this constitutes the 12 lead ECG. Okay, now we should actually know how the impulse originates, where it originates, and how it travels. So it originates in the SA node, the sinoatrial node. Then this impulse transmits across the atria, depolarizing first the right atrium and then the left atrium. Then it reaches the AV node. The AV node, from AV node, like this is still in the atria part, the atrium left and right. Now the impulse goes to the bundle of His. From here it will start depolarizing the ventricles. This is the bundle of His. Now as you can see, bundle of His divides into two. Bundle of His divides into right and left bundle, and they further divide into anterior and posterior, and they reach the apex. Once the impulse reaches the apex, it now has to travel up and back again to depolarize the floor as well as the back, the posterior wall of the heart. So this is how the impulse travels in heart. These fibers which travel up and backwards are the Purkinje fibers. If you actually see, the direction of the movement of this impulse from SA node till the apex is parallel to, out of all these 3 leads, to the lead number 2. That is the reason lead number 2 is the most important, and if you have to see only one lead, it is the lead number 2. Now we'll discuss each and every single wave separately. So talking about P wave. Now what happens is, P wave is generated because of the depolarization of the atrium. Now when the impulse starts or originates from SA node, it starts depolarizing the right atrium first. Now as soon as the impulse reaches the left atrium, it starts depolarizing the left atrium. So P wave is actually consists of 2 waves. So it is superimposition of 2 waves. The P wave caused by the depolarization of the right atrium, and the other depolarization wave that is because of depolarization of the left atrium. So as you can see, these 2 waves superimpose to form a compound P wave. Okay, now we can understand this by reading a case of hypertension. Okay, so in cases of hypertension, where patients have hypertension, there is dilation of the left atrium initially, which later can lead to hypertrophy of the left atrium as well. So how to differentiate these cases? Okay, so what will happen in cases of dilatation? If the heart left atrium is distended, the P wave will take more time to depolarize the left atrium. Now if there is hypertrophy, the amplitude will be more because of the thickness of the wall, because of the hypertrophy. So as you can see, in this smaller blue wave I will make because of the right atrium. Now the green one is taking more time, so you will see a widened P wave due to, and you can see which component is dilated in this case. In this case, the left atrium is dilated. Now moving to hypertensive cases where there is hypertrophy, the right atrium part is normal, whereas we get a tall or peaked P wave due to increased thickness of the left atrium, that is in cases of hypertrophy. So we can differentiate between dilatation and hypertrophy based on P wave, because it is made as a sum of two waves, one because of the left atrium, one because of the right atrium. Now, considering the same phenomena in the chest leads, if we notice specifically in the V1 lead, okay, so the direction of the depolarization is always from inside to outside, that is from endocardium towards the pericardium. Like it goes from endocardium to the myocardium to pericardium. So the direction is like this, from inside to the outside. Now considering V1 lead, which is just outside the right atrium, for this the direction of current is towards the lead. It is coming towards the lead, so it will cause a positive deflection because the current is traveling towards the lead. Okay, now this causes a positive deflection. Now if we see at the same level, the left atrium lies opposite to the V1. Now in this case also the current travels from inside to outside, that is from endocardium towards the pericardium. Now for V1 lead, the current is going away from the lead. So the depolarization of right atrium in the P wave in V1 lead will cause a positive deflection. I made a positive deflection, whereas the depolarization of the left atrium in the V1 lead will cause a negative deflection. So the resultant wave will become a biphasic wave, as you can see. So this biphasic P wave in V1 chest lead is nothing but absolutely normal in V1 chest lead. Okay, so it is biphasic. Now we have seen this. Okay, now moving on to the depolarization of the ventricles. Now once the impulse has reached from SA node, it has depolarized the atria, it has reached AV node. Now once it has reached the AV node and depolarized both the atria, so both the atrium are in depolarized modes, so there is no potential difference anywhere in the atrium. It is an isoelectric phase for the atria. The atrium, both the atriums, every muscle is in isoelectric phase, so there is no current flowing right now, and the impulse from AV node has not yet reached the bundle of His. There is AV delay. Now because there is delay, the impulse has not reached the bundle of His. The ventricles have not started depolarizing. So right now ventricles are not depolarizing, atria has depolarized, and the whole atria is in isoelectric phase. So before appearance of QRS complex, we'll get a line which is on the baseline, which is isoelectric, because there is no potential difference and no current is flowing at this moment. So we call it as the isoelectric phase. So if you were to imagine this or picturize this, it will be something like this. Imagine this to be the right atria. The charge of that area is similar everywhere. It has been depolarized. I am showing it by plus sign, the depolarization. It is plus everywhere. There is no potential difference anywhere. So the current will not flow because the atria right now is in isoelectric phase. So when the impulse originates from SA node, it moves to AV node after depolarizing the atria, then it reaches the bundle of His, from where now it will depolarize the ventricles. Okay, I've drawn this bundle of His. It divides into two, left and right, and further into anterior and posterior. Okay, now let's look how the impulse travels. The impulse from AV node travels to bundle of His, initially moving upwards and backwards, which is opposite to the direction of lead 2, hence causing a negative deflection, which is the Q wave. Now again from there it comes down parallel to the direction of 2 to reach the apex of the heart, causing a positive deflection, that's the wave R. Now from the apex, the Purkinje fibers take the impulse backwards and upwards to depolarize the posterior wall of the ventricles, leading to again a negative deflection. That's how we get our QRS complex, in which Q and S are negative waves and the R wave is a positive wave. Okay, this was in short. Now let's move to the chest leads first to have a look on the concept of elevation and depression. Okay, so how are chest leads placed? Now I'm taking cross section of the heart wall around V1. So this is endocardium, this is myocardium, and the other outer one will be the pericardium. Okay, so here is the electrode placed. The electrode will be placed outside the pericardium, outside our chest cavity. Now whenever there is depolarization, as I have already told you, the depolarization takes place from inside to outside. The direction of depolarization is inside to outside. So from endocardium towards the pericardium, as I'm drawing right now. So the direction of the current which flows through the myocardium, the direction of the current which is flowing through the myocardium, if this is the myocardium, this is the wall of the heart, it is flowing from inside to outside. So the direction of the current, as we take it from positive to negative, is towards the electrode, whichever electrode we are talking about. Suppose in this case, if we are talking about V1, the current is flowing towards the electrode. Now whenever current flows towards the electrode, it will result in a positive wave. Whatever wave it will form, it will be positive wave. So direction of current actually is responsible for the deflection, either positive or negative. So whenever it is towards the electrode, it will be positive, and whenever the direction of current is against, like it is going away from the electrode, it will cause a negative deflection. Now okay, we'll take an example and understand. Suppose we are considering ventricles, right and left ventricle. V1 will be just outside the right ventricle, whereas it will be opposite to the left ventricle. Now whenever right ventricle depolarizes, because of depolarization of right ventricle, V1 will first get a positive wave because the current is traveling towards V1. Now whenever left ventricle will get depolarized, the current will travel again from endocardium to the outside. Now whenever this happens, this current is flowing away from the V1 electrode. As you can see, it's not coming towards V1, so the current is flowing away from V1. This will cause a negative deflection in V1. So instead of QRS complex, we'll get a positive wave followed by a negative wave. The positive wave here is representing the depolarization of right ventricle, and the negative wave is representing the depolarization of left ventricle. Now if you see, the negative wave is quite long. The amplitude of negative wave is more as compared to the right wave, positive wave. It is because of the thickness. The thickness of left ventricle is way more, or at least thrice more, as compared to the right ventricle. So what happens is, the amplitude of the negative wave in V1 is more. So we get a smaller R wave and a big S wave in V1. Now the same if we consider in V6. We'll talk about the intermediate leads as well, but if we consider V6 now for V6, whenever left ventricle will depolarize, the direction of current because of depolarization of the left ventricle will be towards the electrode. It is now the current of the left ventricle is coming towards the electrode V6. So in V6 we will get a positive deflection because of the left ventricle. However, the current of right ventricle is now going away from V6. So the negative deflection, we'll get a negative deflection because of depolarization of the right ventricle. So whenever we see the V6 instead of a QRS complex, we'll get a large positive deflection followed by a smaller negative deflection, because the amplitude is directly proportional to the potential generated, which is directly proportional to the thickness of the muscle. So because the left ventricle is thicker than the right ventricle, we'll get a bigger R wave and a smaller S wave. And this transition of small r to bigger R from V1 to V6 is seen, like we can see it clearly from V1 to V2 to V3 to V4 to V5 and V6. Now the same concept we will establish in ST interval, which is also an isoelectric interval. So when the QRS complex has taken place, when the whole ventricles have depolarized, like I'm showing this positive sign because the cells have depolarized. Now whenever depolarization has occurred, the potential difference is not there. There's no potential difference. Every cell is at the same potential in the heart. Hence we get another isoelectric phase. This isoelectric phase we represent by the ST segment. Okay, now the same concept we'll use to understand how do we get ST elevations or depressions. Now imagine if there is a infarct, a transmural infarct, that is full thickness infarct. So let me make it for you. A full thickness infarct in this wall, which I have drawn. Now remember, this is isoelectric phase, so every cell is at the same potential. But now because there is infarct in this region is at zero potential. There is no potential of this infarct. Now if you consider the endocardial lining, that will always be viable. Why? Because endocardium gets its blood supply from the blood which is directly inside the heart, direct diffusion. So that will always be there. So now we have a huge infarct and endocardium is still viable. So in this tissue plane, because oxygen is coming from here. In this tissue plane, we have developed a potential difference. This endocardium is at positive potential, whereas this infarct is at a potential which is zero. So the current will flow from higher potential to lower potential, that is from the endocardium again towards the periphery. Now this current is flowing in which condition? In isoelectric phase, whereas it was not supposed to, like, there was no current in normal case, but because here is infarct, the current is flowing even in the isoelectric phase. So when current flows in the isoelectric phase, the electrode whichever is placed above that portion of the wall, for that electrode the current is flowing towards the electrode, giving rise to a elevation. So ST segment will be elevated in that region. Now because of this ST elevation, we can actually say which area of the heart or which part of the wall of the heart is having that infarct. So any infarct in V5 V6 will represent some part, V1 V2 will represent some part, V2 V3 will represent some part. So okay, let's start with V5 V6. V5 V6 will, it is actually lying above the left border or left margin of the heart, which will be formed by the left ventricle, or you can say the posterior wall of the heart. So any infarct in that wall will cause ST elevation in V5 V6 lead. Now if we consider others like V1 V2 or V2 V3, these are just above. You place these in front, that is on the anterior wall of the heart. So any infarct in the anterior wall, that is right ventricle's anterior wall or interventricular septum, the ST elevation you will see in V1, V2, V3. And as it moves towards the lateral side, we will see it in V4 and V5. Now any ST elevation in V1 or V2 or V3, the ST elevation of V1 will produce a ST depression of the opposite lead, because the current will be flowing in the opposite direction, V6. So this is how the ST elevation or the depression is seen in transmural infarcts. I am talking about transmural infarcts. Now let's talk about subendocardial infarct, an infarct which is just subendocardial, which is just started. There's no transmural infarct, only a subendocardial infarct. Now see, I'm making a subendocardial infarct. Now just see, I've left a small strip of endocardium which is normal. That is the reason it is subendocardial, because as I told you, endocardium will receive its blood from the blood which is inside the cavity of the heart by the process of diffusion. Now if you see, there is again a positive strip on the inside, but the potential on the outside is way more. The positive sign on the outside of infarct is way more. So the potential difference from positive to that side will overpower the other one. Now that current will flow from main potential, like higher potential positive sign, to lower positive signs. Now the direction of the current is away from the electrode. It will produce ST depression. So any subendocardial infarct will produce a any subendocardial infarct will produce a ST depression of that segment. So if there is any subendocardial infarct in anterior wall, it will produce a ST depression in V1, V2 or V3, the chest leads. Okay, now let's talk about the bundle blocks. What are bundle blocks? We have already I've already told you about the bundle of His. Now bundle of His divides into two, right and left. Now imagine if there is the right bundle block. So what will happen is, now we are considering V1. If there is right bundle block, the impulse will come, it will start depolarizing the right side and then stop in between. Now as usual, the left will depolarize first. Now once the depolarization of left is complete, the impulse will travel via the cells, intercellular channels, and now the depolarization of right will occur after the left has done. So we will see in V1 a positive deflection because of depolarization of right ventricle, but it will stop in between. Now we will see a negative deflection. Now see, this impulse has stopped, so the depolarization of right has stopped. The smaller positive R wave we have got. Now because of depolarization of the left ventricle, we'll get a bigger negative wave, that is S wave. Then again this impulse will turn from the left ventricle and come to the right ventricle to depolarize the remaining right ventricle. Again we'll get a positive deflection, that will be because of depolarization of the remaining part of the right ventricle. So we get a R, S and R1 or R0. We get a M shaped wave. That is why whenever we get a M wave pattern V1, we are talking about the right bundle branch block. Now similarly, if we talk about the left bundle branch block, considering V6, we'll take the lead V6 in this case. Again the impulse will come, it will start depolarizing the left side. the impulse will start depolarizing the left ventricle, but it will stop in between and the left ventricle depolarization will stop. Now in V6 we'll get a positive deflection because of left ventricle depolarization, but it will stop. Now we'll get a negative deflection because of the depolarization of the right side. Now once the right side depolarizes, again the remaining portion of the left will depolarize because the impulse has come from the right to the left. So we'll get another positive impulse. So this wave, again M wave in V6, now it symbolizes left bundle branch block. So M in V1 is right bundle branch block, whereas M in V6 is left bundle branch block. Similarly, in the opposite leads, like in if we get W pattern in V1 along with M pattern in V6, it's seen in left bundle branch block, whereas in right bundle branch block we'll get a W pattern in V6 which is opposite to V1, and M pattern in V1. So this is about the bundle branch blocks. This is it for now. So if you like this video and you understood something, do like, share and subscribe to our channel, and do share it with your friends. And if you have any doubt or there is any topic you feel should be taught and has not been taken up in your colleges because of corona, because of lack of clinical classes or theory classes, feel free to share the topic. I would be glad to simplify it and put up it on video so that you can understand and develop a few concepts. So done for now. It's me, Dr. Pranshu Mehta, signing off for today till we meet again.